What is going on, guys? We are live, or I am live. I'm going to be talking about the Ubisoft and Bethesda shows because, well, I didn't really make a video for it, and I didn't feel like doing a Bethesda one yesterday. Because, honestly, the show wasn't very good. And I know the Xbox Daily show is on right now, and I will watch that later for all the info. But I wanted to do a quick hangout or whatever to give my thoughts on the conferences that we just saw, the Ubisoft one and the Bethesda one. So, yeah, thanks for being here. I see we got So Shady in there. We got the gigs where it's apparently raining pretty bad in in Wisconsin. Yeah, but I hope everybody's having a great day. I'm having a pretty good one. So let's talk about some of this stuff, shall we? I want to talk about Ubisoft first because I felt this was like a tale of two press conferences for the most part. Hey, what's going on, Paul Smith? Honestly, this was definitely a tale of two press conferences. One was extremely well done, except for maybe the beginning, and the Bethesda show was just absolutely terrible. So much so that my buddies that were actually at the conference left. They left the Bethesda show because it was that bad. It was that bad. So what did Ubisoft exactly do this year? So they started off the conference, and I wrote there in my notes, I kind of felt the conference missed Aisha Taylor's presence, to be honest with you. I really thought so. Aisha Tyler is a good presenter, and I was kind of disappointed that she wasn't there. I thought she does pretty well. So I thought overall the conference missed her influence and presence. Now then they went into Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. They brought up Miyamoto, and I always hate when they bring out not necessarily the Japanese guys, but when they do the stuff with the translators, that stuff doesn't come over very well at all, in my opinion. Like, I like seeing Miyamoto, but like him speaking Japanese and then having the translator translate it all, it just kind of killed that whole segment for the most part. But the game itself, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is exclusive to Switch and it's coming August 29th, the beginning of it looked really cool. I'm like, okay, what type of game is this? You have my attention. I'm digging the art style and stuff, and the Rabbids are kind of cool, but I'm like, what kind of game is this going to be? And then like it showed the actual combat. I'm like, oh, so it's basically XCOM, as that's what I got from it, right? An XCOM Mario and Rabbids game, which XCOM is a game for like the super hardcore. So I wonder how like dumbed down this is going to be, because I would assume this, the visual style and the fact that the Mario and the Rabbids are in it, it's got to be at least, accessible to kids and stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Definitely a unique game for the Switch, a Mario and Rabbids XCOM style game. But anyways, I don't care about the Switch. I'm not getting one. I just thought it was, the game's probably going to do well with its target audience, which, is cool. Then we had the Assassin's Creed Origins trailer. I thought that trailer was cool, really cool. We saw it, Microsoft show. They went into a longer thing. However, I don't know, when they panned to the guys in the back and there were the three guys sitting on the couch and the girl or whatever, and the guy was playing, they had this like little TV screen and they were just zooming on it with the camera. And I thought, man, that is quite embarrassing in my opinion. Like, why not go full screen? Where's the direct capture? I thought that part right there was pretty embarrassing for Ubisoft, that they would like show the game being played basically off screen on their own conference. But then again, they did show it in all its glory at Microsoft's. So game comes out October 27th. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game in 2 years. So it sounds, I'm interested. Of course, Wolfenstein comes out the same day, and I'll talk about which one of those games I'm more interested in playing day one. Then we went to what I thought was a surprise. Well, not a surprise in the sense we knew the game was coming, but Uh, just like what was in the game, the Crew 2. And I have written down here planes, trains, and automobiles, because honestly, the racing genre you could kind of say is tapped out to a certain degree. You have Gran Turismo, you have a Forza every year, Need for Speeds every 2 years. They don't the racing genre doesn't sell as much as it used to, and now you have the Crew 2 coming back. And what better way to make the Crew 2 stand out um, from the crowd than having it include planes, dirt bikes, uh, boats. Like I was watching that stuff, I'm like, that is really cool because it's basically all forms of transportation. Obviously not trains, but the emphasis of planes and the emphasis of the boats really made the Crew 2 stand out from the other games in the racing genre. So much so that like I have that on my list now. I have that on my list. Like Crew 2 looks really cool. It's coming early 2018. You know, we saw this year that Ubisoft released For Honor in February and they released Ghost Recon in March. So you can probably mark the Crew 2 down for one of those, either February or March. But I was impressed with what I saw of the Crew 2. Like, it looks like it's something different. Like, you don't really have plane racing games and you don't really have boat racing games. So I thought that was really cool. Kind of getting away from the norm, doing something different than Forza, doing something different than Motorsport, doing something different than Need for Speed or Gran Turismo. So it's got me interested in the game. Of course, I also know at the same time it's going to be very, very heavy on microtransactions. So, you know, it is what it is. But for now, it has piqued my interest. It has definitely piqued my interest. Hey, what's going on, Craig? What's up, Chris? How's greatness treating me? Greatness is treating me pretty good. Hey, what's up, Face 23 BKNY? Thanks everybody for joining. I've just been so busy with covering the press conferences and stuff like that that I haven't played Xbox and I haven't played PlayStation. So yeah, I haven't finished Last of Us. Yes, I'm doing that pretty soon. But like I said, I'm pretty busy doing all this stuff. But I can't wait to watch the Sony press conference tonight and see what Sony has on offer. I'm sure it's going to be a damn good show. But anyways, back to the Ubisoft stuff. We after the Crew, they went to South Park, and this is one of yeah, Craig. After I talk about this stuff, I can definitely send you an invite, and we can talk about some things. I just wanted to get my thoughts out for the Ubisoft and Bethesda, and then if you can join after that if you would want to. But yeah, so we have the South Park stuff, which I can't wait for. South Park Fractured But Whole, October 17th. I love the first game. This game looks pretty damn awesome. I'm excited for it. A lot of games coming this holiday. It's packed again. It's really packed again. Can't wait for South Park. And then they also showed that South Park phone game, South Park Phone Destroyer, which looked kind of cool. I mean, I'm not into phone games whatsoever, but that game did look interesting. And then we got into the weird section here. We got Elijah Wood coming out, and they showed this weird trailer, but interesting, for this game called Transference, which is coming spring of 2018. Now, we don't know anything about the game. It's just some random video. But, it did well to pique my interest. But other than that, not much to really say about that. And then we get a game that I heard about this game a year ago. I was told that there was this pirate game in production at Ubisoft. And the guy who told me this said that he wasn't sure if the game was canceled or not, right? And as soon as I saw the pirate stuff and Skull and Bones, right, I was like, all right, this is the game. It's set in 1721. They showed off a really cool looking CGI trailer. The game's called Skull and Bones. They showed off this 5v5 team-based PvP mode. I'm not sure if there's really single player. And the game looks ripped out right from Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's like they took the naval combat and everything from that game and they ripped it out and they put it into its own game. Now, it did look interesting. It looked more like an adult, mature version of basically Sea of Thieves, and I know a lot of people will compare it to that. It's like Sea of Thieves is this kind of cartoony co-op adventure where you play with your friends and uncover Trevor and go on adventures, but this game is more of a mature style, combat focused. Heavily, it looks like it's focused on the combat of the ships to ships, and it's coming out in fall 2018. So I think those two games could potentially live well together. Like Sea of Thieves is coming out in the spring, and this Skull and Bones game is coming out in the fall. So there's enough time for both to coexist. But it seems like this game has been in production for quite some time. And then, of course, we get our daily or yearly Just Dance segment, 2018. If you guys ever wanted to see what it's like to see a bunch of Sub-Zeros or people from Mortal Kombat dancing, check that out, because that's what it looked like. Who cares about Just Dance? It's on stage because it sells extremely well. But that's about it. Who cares about Just Dance, besides kids? And then we start getting into the meat of the show. Like, for most of the show, I thought after the Mario and Rabbids stuff, I thought the show was actually pretty damn good. Definitely better than EA's. Definitely better than Bethesda's. What they showed is pretty interesting. Obviously, new IPs. One, two, three, four new IPs, and then we get in this Starlink Battle for Atlas. Now, I'm not a fan of the way the game looks. I'm not a fan of that, like the ships you put on the controllers or anything like that. But I appreciate the fact that Ubisoft consistently and constantly every year is always trying to put out new IPs. It's something that I was deeply disappointed in with Xbox. And I hope you guys checked out my video I put out today. I put out that video about the things I liked about the Xbox conference, the games that were shown and stuff like that. And then tomorrow I am going to put out my what I was really disappointed in about Xbox. So I figured I'd be fair. The stuff that I liked and the stuff that I didn't like. And there's a couple things in that Xbox conference yesterday that was extremely disappointing to me. And I will talk about that in the video tomorrow. But I'm sure if you listen to my reaction, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But Ubisoft, hey, what's up? Who's next? What's up, Santito? How's everybody doing? Yeah, so, but Ubisoft always does this. They always try to give out new IPs, and it's always something different. So even though Starlink, kind of the graphical style, doesn't really appeal to me, I appreciate them trying to do that stuff. Same thing with Skull and Bones, new IP, which is cool. I love seeing that stuff. I love seeing the games I'm going to be playing. Then they showed Steep up on stage again, and it was like, really, we're going to go into Steep again? Like, who really cares about Steep? But of course, they have some expansion that's tied to the Olympics that's coming out December 5th. So maybe they paid a lot of money to get the rights to the Olympic stuff to put it into the game. I hear Steep is good from my friends who have played it, but who cares? And then we get Far Cry 5. And there was a moment here where I thought it was going to be Splinter Cell because they put in the green lights. They just announced the Halo Wars 2 Gravemind DLC. Ooh. That was real? It was just DLC for Halo Wars 2? I mean, I know Halo Wars 2 was going to have DLC, but I'll obviously take a look at that stuff later. But this is just my... I did enjoy my pizza yesterday. Thank you, Mr. Sneaky Memo. But yeah, so they showed off the green lights, and I'm like, dude, this is going to be Splinter Cell. And then it wasn't. It was Far Cry 5. And it looks just like Far Cry. You got dogs bringing you the guns and stuff. So I'm excited for Far Cry 5. I love Far Cry. Hopefully they kind of can mix it up a little bit. February 28th is a long way off. But yeah, I'm still excited for Far Cry 5. I wonder why they used the green lights though, because it doesn't really jive what they're going for with Far Cry 5. And yeah, the song Amazing Grace was pretty cool. What's up, male sensitivity? Did I give Phil a kiss? No, I didn't give Phil a kiss. Sorry. Jeez. Why would you even ask that? Some of you guys, though. And then they ended the show on a game that got me super excited. Beyond Good and Evil 2. And I wrote on here, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Because Beyond Good and Evil is a great game. Absolutely great game that I played back on the GameCube. And I am so excited for that game to come back. So to see that CGI trailer, and I know it's CGI, but it still got me excited. To live in a world again where we will get to play a Beyond Good and Evil game that is a prequel. So all in all, I thought Ubisoft, except for the very beginning, I thought they did a great conference. I thought they showed some cool looking games, heavy emphasis on new IP, and a lot. EA and Bethesda should look at this show and be like, that is what you should do if you only have an hour, right? So kudos to Ubisoft for putting on a fantastic show. Obviously, they didn't show as many games as Xbox did, but that's neither here nor there. But it was a really good show. I was impressed outside of that beginning segment with Mario and Rabbids. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Ubisoft. I'm excited for Beyond Good and Evil 2. I'm excited for Far Cry 5. I'm excited for South Park. Kind of, I'm a little iffy on Skull and Bones, but I'll probably try it. Crew 2 looks really cool, and that's coming from someone who had no intentions of ever playing Crew 2. But I thought it was actually a great game, or it got me excited from what they've shown, and so there's a lot here to like. There was a lot here to like, and really fast, I am going to talk about Bethesda really quick because there ain't much to talk about. Like I said at the beginning of this, it was a tale of two press conferences. I didn't think anybody would tie EA for the worst show because EA's show was pretty bad, but Bethesda came pretty close. And honestly, I kind of thought that the only reason Bethesda did this show was because they felt they had to, because they've done a show the last 2 years. And now I understand why they put this show on at like 11 o'clock my time, because there was nothing there. There was nothing there. I had 3 friends who went to the show. My buddy Magic, my buddy Lovebug Gopher, and my buddy Maka91, who I do TXR with. All super excited to go to see Bethesda's show. No seating. It was standing room only. And they started talking about the show. All my friends basically left 10 minutes in. They didn't want to sit through that stuff. It was a terrible show. They opened up with the kids. You had the Bethesda Land montage. PS4 could just show God of War and it's a wrap. I'm excited for God of War. They showed little snippets of Doom, Dishonored 2, Prey. They mentioned that Fallout Shelter has 100 million people. That game must be making them a shit ton of money. Little snippets of Fallout 4, Skyrim, and they talked about mods. And then they went into VR, and it just didn't look good. See, here's the thing with VR. I know people that play VR, like they say you need to experience it, but it doesn't demo well. And the stuff they demoed on screen, I don't know why they do that. I don't think these companies get that VR doesn't demo well. You got the floating hands. It looks weird. The teleportation stuff, so you walk around. It just doesn't demo well on stage. But I understand they have to try because it is an expensive product. Doom VFR, and you got the Fallout 4 VR stuff. Man, the whole beginning of this conference was just straight up boring trash to me. Just so boring. Then they showed the Nintendo Switch. They put like a Zelda amiibo on the Switch, and the dude could dress as Skyrim. I'm sure that'll sell some copies. People like Zelda, and they want to play that. So. But then we started actually getting into some cool stuff. Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, standalone expansion, coming out September 5th, 2017. I thought it was interesting. I like Dishonored quite a bit. Love the first game, love the second game. So I will be on board for this standalone expansion. That's $30. Quake Champions looks cool. It's PC only for now. So not really much to say. And then we actually get into what saved the conference. And The Evil Within 2. That trailer was really interesting. It'll look great. It's coming out Friday the 13th. I didn't play the first one. I do have the first one. So I might go back and try it. But Evil Within 2, a lot of people like that game. But here, Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus. This thing, I can't explain to you guys how much I love Wolfenstein, the New Order. So when they announced this game, I was super excited. That trailer was so good. The way, like, they showed a lot of different things, like new characters. interacting with old characters, the setup for it, the Nazis in America taking over. Like, that is rife for a lot of different things you can do. The gunplay, man, Machine Games, they know how to do gunplay. I cannot wait for Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, to come out October 27th. And I know Assassin's Creed drops the same day, but I don't care. I am playing Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, the day that comes out, because that is the game I am most excited to play out of all those games. Because I mean, they didn't give a date for Beyond Good and Evil. So it's kind of hard to get excited for that game when you have no clue. Even though I am excited it's back, um, I have like no clue when that game's coming out. But we know that Wolfenstein is coming out this year, so that makes it better. And I do, and look, and even though I didn't like Bethesda's conference, I thought most of it was garbage, saved at the end by Wolfenstein 2, right? I appreciate the fact that everything Bethesda was showing at their conference was coming out this year. I appreciate that. I appreciate Bethesda only showing stuff that is basically coming out within that year. However, it seems like this is a year they really didn't have a lot to show. So maybe that's why it was a really short show. Where was it, like almost 42 minutes? It wasn't very long. So, like I said at the very beginning when I started talking about this, I think they did the show because they felt they had to, because they've done it for 2 years now. Even though they only had 2 things to show, they couldn't really build a whole conference around it. And that's why it was boring for them for the most part. But man, if they didn't have Ubisoft there, whoo boy, or if they didn't have Wolfenstein there, oh my lord. That was some bad stuff. Now, Ubisoft one was a great conference. Bethesda one isn't. Craig, DM me and I will send you a link so you can come in here and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm sure you're probably going to come in here and say that the Xbox show is bad, which I've been getting a lot of lately. A lot of people are not upset at me because I gave my thoughts. I thought the Xbox conference was fine. I gave an 8 out of 10. A lot of those games they show at the conference are interesting to me. I will play a lot of them. I just also don't really. I also have a PlayStation now, so I'll play PlayStation's exclusive games when they come out, and I'll continue to play everything else on my Xbox. So, I'm probably going to play everything there. So, everything Microsoft showed is something that I'm interested in. So, I mean, I understand everybody's opinion is different. I see plenty of people saying that they thought the show was good and that they thought the Xbox show was bad. Obviously, we all can't agree on everything. And if we all did agree on stuff, well, then the world would be a very lame place. So we're going to get Craig in here and we're going to talk to him and see what he has to say about stuff. Am I getting an Xbox One X day one? Yes, I have the money set aside for that because obviously I'm an Xbox fan, and the Xbox One X, I do have a 4K TV, so I am the demographic that the Xbox One X kind of speaks to because I get all the games. I have a 4K TV, and I have a huge backlog. So I will be getting one day one. So yeah. But yeah, Bethesda and Ubisoft. Bethesda should take a look at Ubisoft and see what they did and try to copy that next year. I prefer war because it's interesting to know when everybody on the same page. Yeah, it's a little boring if everybody's always on the same page, isn't it? Everything's much better when people have different opinions on stuff. So Rand, I'm going to keep it real. How is Microsoft, and bear in mind I have a game ring, sell me an Xbox One X? That's a good question, and I've heard that a lot lately. How are they going to sell people a gaming rig or an Xbox One X to people who have a gaming rig? And the answer to that is, I don't think they're really interested in that, dude. If you have a gaming PC that can play all those games better than a $500 console, then play those games on Windows 10 is probably what Microsoft is thinking. I mean, I don't think they really care at this point where you're playing. So if you already have a kick-ass $1,000 PC setup or whatever, then play on PC. I mean, I don't think Microsoft is trying to convert anybody who has a gaming PC. I think we got Craig in here now. What's up, Craig?
What's up, man? How you doing, brother? Thanks for the Vine, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, dude. So what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, well, yeah, what have you thought about this E3 so far? Have you been overly impressed or underwhelmed or just kind of, it's okay? What do you think so far, brother?
I thought the EA conference was pretty bad. It kind of set the tone. Remember, I've been saying for a while for people not to get their hopes up about Microsoft's, right?
Yeah.
I told everybody there would be nothing new there from first party. So my expectations were pretty goddamn low. And maybe because they were so low that I thought they had a good conference because they showed a lot of games that I was interested in. Like, I wasn't expecting 2 new IPs and all this stuff that people were. I was expecting basically at that conference, the 4 games you knew about and some really cool third-party stuff. And that's exactly what they showed. So maybe that's why I really enjoyed the conference. And then the Bethesda one was trash, except for Wolfenstein. And the surprisingly Ubisoft one was actually really good.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I thought Bethesda was okay. I like the fact that VR is still getting more support and getting a Doom and Fallout VR. As far as it looked seamless when they were playing, as far as them transversing those worlds, I thought that looked okay. Skyrim on Switch, I know we've seen it, but they added Link. I think that's pretty neat. Dishonored, I guess it's a prequel coming out in a few months.
Yep, standalone.
Yeah, standalone. Yeah, that's not bad. I agree with you. Evil Within, and then Wolfenstein. At least for me, I've been playing Wolfenstein since it was on the Commodore 64. So that's back in the day when that game came out. So that's kind of cool to see that. So yeah. Microsoft, I was underwhelmed.
What'd you think of the Xbox conference? What was your takeaway from it?
For me, it was underwhelming. I heard you say I was going to trash it. No, I'm not going to trash it. It just, to me, it was underwhelming. As far as the tech itself, being in that small of a container, that alone is a marvel. If you just like, but we had already saw the Forza build, and a lot of these games, while they looked great, I was looking at the Ubi press conference and they were showing Assassin's Creed running. A lot of the games we saw, almost all the games we saw, were multi-plat games, and my question this morning to people was, if you already have an Xbox One S, like S is in snake, do you make this purchase? And if and then you add most of America, only like 10 to 12% of America has a 4K television. So you're gonna have to add an extra $450 to whatever you buy your Xbox for. And if you get whatever, you get $100 off, that's fine. But that's a pretty big ask for a bunch of multi-plats and a game, Anthem, that won't be out till 2019.
Anthem, from what I understand, is scheduled for next year. And that's going to be EA's big game.
Yeah.
But you are right. That's the thing. It's like, here's my problem with both the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. They're playing the same exact games you could play on the Xbox One and the PS4.
Yeah.
Like, there are no exclusives on any of those. So it's like, do you need to upgrade to Xbox One X? Do you need to upgrade to the PS4 Pro? If you just want to play the games, not really. It's a tough sell. The only reason to upgrade is if you are really interested in a system that plays the games the best and you have a 4K TV, and that's a tough sell to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge Xbox fan. You know this. Everybody knows this. I'm down for Scorpio. I own 700 games on Xbox. And to be honest, I mentioned this before. Now that I have a PlayStation, it doesn't hurt. Like when I see a great game on PlayStation, it's like, man, I wish that was on Xbox. I'll just play it on PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it's like I got honestly the best of both worlds. So it's like I'll play all my multi-platform stuff on my 4K TV with all my friends on Xbox. And when Sony drops those really cool, amazing exclusives, like we know they can, I'll play them on my PlayStation 4 Pro. You know, like. I'm not going to complain. And I understand why people didn't like Microsoft's conference. Like, I think a lot of people had it in their head, like, okay, this is Microsoft's chance to sell me an Xbox One X. And what they showed were a bunch of timed multi-platform games, which a lot of them looked really cool. A lot of them are really interested in. But if you have a PlayStation 4 or if you have a PC, those games will be coming there too. So what did Microsoft show exclusive? They showed Crackdown 3, which I was disappointed in because they didn't show the multiplayer with the destruction, which is the thing I was really interested in, right?
Yeah.
State of Decay 2 didn't really look very good. It didn't sell me on it. Forza Motorsport 7 looks incredible.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Absolutely incredible. But I'm a Horizon fan. And what was the other game? Sea of Thieves. Okay, that's next year. So you got 2 games coming out next year, 2 games coming out this year. If you're trying to convert PlayStation 4 owners or PC gaming owners or whatever, I think they did a bad job because all the games they showed were timed multi-platform, right? Like, and it wasn't like they gave you a reason to be like, yeah, I'm switching from PS4. Now, if Anthem was an exclusive game, people would have flipped their lids. People would have been like, okay, that is a game I need to play on Xbox. I'm going to pick it up. But like you said, and like everybody knows, it's not exclusive. It's a multi-platform game. So it's like different perspectives. I went into the conference seeing, okay, what am I going to be playing on Xbox for the next year? And I was satisfied because a lot of those games spoke to me. But if you were looking at the conference from the chance of sell me an Xbox as a PlayStation gamer, then they probably didn't do a good job.
Yeah, well, let me break some news now. I went out to lunch today. I went to Hooters, not, woohoo. A friend of mine, he works at GameStop. He's the district manager. And because they've sat down and talked to both Microsoft and Sony about kind of what they're going to be doing this fall. And he said Microsoft is not trying to sell this to the PlayStation guy, that they know that they will never catch up to them. Like, they know it out there.
They know.
So
they know.
Yeah, and but he says what they could do and what they're doing is, he said they got to take away 2 things that they felt Sony had, just to take it off the table. And the whole power narrative that they felt Sony was raging against them, they took that away. And now Sony retaliated with content. They took all the content back. But what Microsoft did do is the whole conversation about the types of games that they had. They ended that with these games, even though they're multi-plat. Sony, they feel that they will be able to just kind of reach out to a bunch of different people, and because they were just giving the markets away to Sony. I mean, I don't know how Code Vein, and then last night, and Darwin. I don't know how those games are going to sell on the Xbox, but because if you notice, Rand, you watched that press conference when they were showing these games, the audience was barely clapping.
Yeah, you're right. Because the Japanese games don't sell, man. Like we've talked about that. I've mentioned that before.
I agree. Well, I agree with you, but hell, even when they showed Ori, which looked stunning, because I was watching this on my 4K TV, but even when they showed that, the audience barely moved. So unfortunately, because again, I've heard you, and you, like you said, Ori's one of the, I haven't played it yet, but you've said Ori's one of the better games you've played. You've played a lot.
It is the best Xbox exclusive you'll play.
Yeah,
honestly, so, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I understand, but you get word out today that Metroid was playing on a PC. Assassin's Creed, at least the one we saw at E3, wasn't running on the Xbox X. It was running on something else. Now today, the one they showed today was running on their dev kit, which is pretty much the same thing. And it's just, so for me, it was underwhelming. So I didn't dislike it, but you got to understand, if you got an Xbox, I have an Xbox One S. So did they sell it to me? No, but they weren't targeting me. They were targeting the people who have they got to put themselves back in the conversation, which I think they did. They pretty much announced we're here with the system.
Well, you're right. They're targeting, like, at that price point at $500, which I think is a fine. I mean, like, for what's in the system, $500 is fine. Like, the price is the price, right? But at that price, the only thing that's going to sell to are people like 4K enthusiasts, right? The people who want to have the newest toys, and basically the hardcore Xbox crowd. That's who it's going to sell to. And I think Phil said today that Xbox One isn't losing any money. They probably have no interest in selling the system for $400 and losing money on the system. Yeah. They want to be a profitable business, and they are making money hand over fist. Now, I think they've come to the realization that they can't beat Sony right now. So what they're going to do is cater to their user base and probably squeeze them dry of their money. Like, honestly, like, that's why you see so many controllers. That's why there's those loot pack cards in all their games. That's why I find it funny. I don't know if you caught this, but you notice how they cushioned the blow of the $500 announcement with the announcement of OG Back and Pat?
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they did that, my first thought was, here comes $500, because people went crazy for that announcement, and I don't understand why, because there's 5 games worth playing on the OG Xbox, and those games are going to look bad. They're probably going to play bad. They're not going to have any achievements, and they're not going to have online play. Like, I get this idea of, like, Xbox being a place where you can play all the generations of Xbox. That is a really cool feature. You can play your Xbox One games, you can play your 360 games, you can play your original Xbox games. That is a really cool idea, and there will be people who take advantage of that. But at the same time, at least for me, I'm looking towards the future. I want to know games I'm playing this year, next year, 2019. I'm not interested in playing a game from 2002. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you noticed the press conference, though, Rand, that got the biggest applause. I mean, you had the initial announcement of the system, and then the next big applause, anyway, was the, after Forza and all that stuff, which, was this backwards compatibility thing. And I just think that, unfortunately, guys like you, who I think need to be in front as far as the Xbox community, especially online, you guys got pushed aside for what I affectionately call Jack Reacher, who told me that we were going to have – the reason why my avatar is the Ryzen chip is because that's as close as we're going to get to it, because we were told by Jack Reacher they were going to have Vega Ryzen in their console. We were told everything was going to be 4K 60. Now, I know you flat said, I heard you on Weapon Wheel, I heard you on your own podcast saying flat out, first-party games, yeah. Second party, probably not. But Jack Reacher did not care. So they, what you noticed when the Destiny announcement happened, they were damage controlling that for 2 weeks. So instead of just letting it go, instead of saying, hey, look, there's no HDR build for it, and that should piss off everybody because that's something that they could have controlled, they didn't do it, at least not that I know of. So that's why I felt underwhelmed. And even today, at least on Twitter, which I know Twitter is just a minority of the minority of the minority, there's been nothing but damage control coming from the Xbox community. Nothing but. There's people online saying, wait till next E3.
I told you people would say that. I said I wouldn't say that.
I know, man. You need to tell me what the lottery numbers are going to be.
I mean, like the whole Splinter Cell thing, which bring it back for Ubisoft for a second. I know people are upset with me because I've been saying that Ubisoft or that Splinter Cell's coming. Look, I don't lie to anybody. Like, I always give everybody the honest truth, right? I have friends that have played Splinter Cell. Legit played that game, but of course this was back in 2015. So I don't know if they're waiting till next year. The game might be canceled, but it existed at one point. And I'm as much as disappointed that it didn't show up as everybody else. And like, I've been trying to tell people, like, listen, Microsoft is not going to have any, like, I wanted a new IP from Microsoft. I think they needed it. I think it's inexcusable they didn't have at least one at the show. But I've been saying for so long, guys, keep your expectations in check whenever it comes to Microsoft's first party. You're gonna and people expected too much. And I think that's where it comes from. I expected very little, and what I got was actually more than I expected. So I'm happy with the show. People who were expecting the moon didn't get the moon, so they're like, this show was crap, right? And I have no expectations for Sony tonight. I did hear that it's only an hour long this year. There was that rumor going around.
I heard 115, and it's because they've scaled back because they had a lot more planned, but because of I'm just going to call it the lukewarm, because I'm not going to go in on the Microsoft thing. Because of the lukewarm reception Xbox is getting, I mean, even put it like Microsoft stock, usually you announce a new product, and you know this, new product means your stock goes up. Microsoft's did not hardly move today. So even their shareholders are kind of like, but I've heard Sony's kind of scaling back because they just don't see any reason to go.
You see, they rehearse these things. So I doubt they scale back. Like Sony's so far in the driver's position that I don't think they're worried about what Microsoft is doing. And honestly, they have a $400 Pro. If they want to take it to Microsoft, they could drop it $50 this holiday. Sell the Pro for $350.
Yeah.
But if you're also Sony, you're so far in the lead that maybe you just want to make more money. There's a chance now because the Scorpio's 500 or the One X is 500. Yeah. Sony might keep the Pro at 400 and just make more money.
Yeah.
So who knows what Sony's going to do? But I did hear there's that rumor that there's only going to be 90 seconds of talking and it'll just be wall-to-wall games. Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a way to do a show. That's what I liked about this Xbox show also as well. I thought it was paced well. It was just kind of trailer after trailer after trailer, showing some interesting things. And I'm interested to seeing what the exclusive Sony's has, what multi-platform games they have, and things like that. Like I think it's a great time if you're just a gamer, whether you play in PlayStation or Xbox. There's gonna be a lot of cool stuff this year, next year, year after.
Yeah, I was telling people in the chat, they were like, well, who do you think is going to win? People are just, who thinks going to win E3? And I really tried to tell everybody, nobody loses at E3. If you game, you win. So, and a lot of these games, minus a few, are going to be multi-platter anyway. You can go to PC and get them. But I just think, I felt underwhelmed by Microsoft. But getting back to Ubi, I thought that was a solid press conference. I'm buying Assassin's Creed day one. I'll be PC here, and let's just say I'm glad they didn't quote unquote whitewash Assassin's Creed. I guess kind of the best way to put it. So I'm happy with that. You're right. The boat game, that looks like what Sea of Thieves should have been. So. And the crew, and I got burned on the first crew, but this crew actually looked pretty well.
Well, yeah, it stands out from the crowd with the airplane races and the boat stuff. It's like, okay, we know Forza's got basically the racing genre lock. I mean, you have the sim one, and then the arcade one year after year. Gran Turismo is like a 6-year game, comes out once every like meteor storm or what, and then you have like Need for Speeds every couple years. So, like, if you're the crew, it's like, we need to do something different. What better way to make your game at least unique in that genre than putting, like, boat races and airplane races in it? I think that's really cool.
I'm glad we get it. We're getting the racing games. Just, with the, 2 Forza games, I'm sorry, a Need for Speed game. And they look good. They look like they're going to be good investments if you get, even a Mario driving game. So I think, I tell people, it's been the revenge of the JRPG this gen, revenge of the RPG, and it looks like the racers are now coming up. The genre is kind of taking a hit is shooters. Those games are taking a hit. You're seeing a lot more shooting games with RPG mechanics in it than ever, than this straight get in, straight run around and shoot type of thing. So, which I'm happy for. Being an old man, I like that kind of stuff more. So.
Well, yeah, because like Wolfenstein is going to be a corridor linear shooter, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then Anthem, which is a shooter, is going to be this grind fest MMO like
Yeah.
co-op experience, which they both have their places, and I'm excited for both of them. But what do you think we're going to see at Sony's tonight? What do you think? What do you think they're going to show off?
I agree with you. I think they're just going to come out and do their welcome to the conference thing, and then they're just going to walk off the stage. And more than likely, God of War, Days Gone, Spider-Man. With the movie coming out, Spider-Man is going to probably get a pretty decent gameplay trailer. I don't know about The Last of Us. I'd rather see Detroit become human. That's just me, I like to see more gameplay on Detroit become human. You'll get your spackle of the multi-plat games. They'll announce later tonight what the Star Wars game is running on the Pro. I've heard different numbers. I just wait to see. I don't really get caught up in it. The Call of Duty game, possibly, and what I've been hearing now is a Red Dead CGI, no gameplay, possibly Red Dead, some kind of CGI trailer or just a nod that Rockstar is working on it. And Bully. I think Bully may get put out tonight. So from Rockstar. So, but that's pretty much it for me. How about yourself?
I expect we see God of War, Spider-Man, Days Gone. What else we got? I expect to see Sucker Punch's new IP.
Yeah.
I think that's about time they show that. Obviously, like you said, Destiny 2, Call of Duty, Far Cry 5, probably. They're marketing deals. Rockstar is tricky because you never know what they're doing. They could show a trailer for Red Dead. That Bully 2 thing could be legit. So I don't know. I'm interested in seeing what Sony has exclusive-wise because that's what I have the system for. The thing is, I want to know when these games are coming out now. It's one thing to show them last year and being like, all right, these games are what we're working on. But this year, you got to give some dates for some of those games. You can't go 2 years in a row and be like, here's all of our cool stuff, but still in development. So I think God of War is early next year.
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man. Here's the thing. I still don't think Spider-Man's this year. I know it kind of makes sense with like a DVD or Blu-ray release or whatever, but that would be like right in the middle of this really packed holiday. So I would say Spider-Man is sometime next year. I don't think Days Gone is next year. I think it's a light year for both Xbox and PlayStation. I think Xbox only has their 2 retail exclusives this holiday will be Crackdown and Forza, and I think what you'll see from Sony is probably Gran Turismo Sport and NAC 2. And then everything else will be, that. At least that's for me. But if Spider-Man's this holiday, awesome. That's another. It's almost too many games, too much money I'm going to be spending. Seriously, there are so many cool games coming out that I'm going to want to play. I'm going to go broke.
Yeah, I will be broke. Yeah, October is packed with stuff. It's like 2 games on seems like every day are going to be coming out. But yeah, I'm just I got people tweeting me saying, do I think Sony is going to be able to save E3? I'm like, I think it'll be fine. I'm just glad Sony's just going to be short and to the point. So I think tonight. I think Gran Turismo gets a release date here in the next 3 to 5 weeks. Elite Dangerous with the DLC. I think you can order it now, or it's going to be released at some point today. And God of War, their big staple games are coming out now. A ton of JRPGs. They may show some VR stuff. But that's it. I agree it's going to be wall-to-wall games. But I don't know if they can do wall-to-wall like that, because when the third-party stuff comes out, don't you think those guys will come up on stage to say, here, would it be Destiny?
So. You would think they would, unless they're just kind of showing off demos and they don't need any kind of explanations. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting show. I'm looking forward to seeing what Sony has to offer. I don't think they'll show any VR stuff. I don't think that stuff demos well on stage. I think Sony. I think Sony's just gonna run stuff for their first party games. Do you? All right. Here's the thing. Do you think they end with Last of Us 2, or do you think they save Last of Us 2 for PSX or something?
Yeah, I think Last of Us 2. I can tell you this much, and you probably know this. Last of Us 2. That trailer we saw at PSX, that was ready for for the conference, the E3 conference last year. They had that queued up, but they pulled it down. I'd rather see Last of Us 2 gameplay. I know people are really talking about it, but I don't think it's going to be here. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I think some people will be disappointed in that, me saying that, but I'll put it like this. I'll be surprised. I'll be pleasantly surprised if we see gameplay of it or something like that. But yeah, people weren't expecting it last year at PSX. But I expect we'll see. What's the Uncharted Legacy? Hell, I forgot about that. We'll see.
Yeah, that game will be there. The Uncharted DLC. I forget the name of it.
Yeah,
Legacy?
It's Legacy. Yeah, Legacy.
Yeah, that comes out in what? 2 months.
August 22nd. Yeah, right my birthday, August 22nd. That's when I start going broke. We'll see that.
Damn, that game looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that game looks really interesting.
I think Sony. I know I'm gonna get off here. I know you're probably ready to go. I just think Sony wants to make itself stand out. You're just going to constantly see exclusive. That's all they're going to really concentrate on. Then they'll show you. And I know people hated the EA thing, but that hot girl for the Battlefront thing, that made that conference tolerable, folks. I mean, you got to back off a little bit.
Yeah, she was oh man, she got the crowd into it. Silverburst Gamer says, I would appreciate your opinion. Did Microsoft send Crackdown through the grave with that release date? Well, you kind of figured that they would launch a game with Scorpio, and people are going to want to play a new game with the new hardware they picked up. So I can imagine a lot of Xbox fans picking up Crackdown 3 to play that game. So I don't think they sent it to die. I think packaging with the system, launching with the system is probably the best thing they can do for that game. However, and this is going to be my video for tomorrow. Like, I put my video out today about the things I liked about Xbox's conference, and tomorrow will be my disappointments.
Uh-oh.
And one of my disappointments is the things they showed about Crackdown 3. Not like I'm disappointed in Crackdown 3, the game, but what I am most interested in Crackdown is the things they didn't show yesterday. I want to see the destructibility of the online multiplayer, right? That is what seemed unique to me. So I think Microsoft did a bigger disservice to the game by not highlighting the destruction during E3 than that release date, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is in a tight situation. At least it gets out before Battlefront. That's Star Wars Battlefront this year. I've said this before with the Star Wars movie coming out. On top of that, with the untimely death of Carrie Fisher, those people are going to go out and buy that game. That game's and it has a campaign mode. That's going to bring in a whole bunch of. That's 3 different groups of people coming together. To buy this game. I think I agree with you. That's part of why I was underwhelmed by the Microsoft conference, and I just don't know if the CPU on the I keep wanting to call it the Scorpio on the Xbox X is good enough to handle that type of tearing down. I would have thought today we would have saw a demo of it, at least doing that. Because I understood they couldn't show a ton yesterday because they were, like you said, Rand, that pace. It was like a Kentucky Derby, boy. They were pacing. They were really rolling out the games. So, but yeah, I think overall that to me is why the conference felt underwhelming. And at $4.99, you're asking me to go ahead and you're asking me to go ahead and get rid of my Xbox One S that plays all these games, and I have a 4K TV, and I still think the Xbox community doesn't understand the way these TVs work. They take whatever is on its screen and they upscale it to 2160p anyway. So it's just the TV does dynamic resolution for you. Now, the processor in the Pro, the Scorpio, and Xbox One S is bigger, so it's going to always have a better looking picture. I mean, if you play, you have an Xbox One S, right, Rand?
Yeah, I have an S.
Okay, if you play The Witcher 3 on your Xbox One S on your 4K TV, it looks better. There's no patch.
Well, yeah, because the console upscales it to 4K, or
upscales it.
So it looks better.
Yeah, so these games, whether it be a Life is Strange, an Ori and the Blind Forest, Battlegrounds, these games are going to already upscale anyway.
Right.
So that's what I was saying earlier. It's a hard ask, and I just can't do it. So
no, that's understandable. Like you can't do it, other people can't, and then there's people that are already sold. But we have my buddy Stick Figure in chat. He asked questions. So many games to buy, over $1,000 must buy for me already. The games might kill Scorpio sales because people want to spend their money on all the games. You agree or disagree, Rand? I didn't really even think about that. That is interesting thought there. Like the idea of so many games that you're spending, especially before, like, the One X comes out in November. There's a bunch of games coming out in September, October, and all the games in November that they're $60 a piece. You buy some of those, you may not have the money for Scorpio. It's going to be hard for me to stop saying Scorpio because I've said it for so long. That is an interesting question.
That's a great question.
I mean, if you're buying all those games, then you have a lot of disposable income. And if you have a lot of disposable income, you probably also have a lot of disposable income to buy a $500 system. If you're on a budget and you can only buy a couple of those, then you're probably not getting the system anyways. Like the Xbox One X, I think, is marketed towards males between the ages of 21 and 35 who are Xbox fans who have a lot of disposable income. Am I wrong in that assertion?
No,
I think it's.
Yeah, I feel that feels right. Did you see Michael Packner today when he was getting interviewed by Jeff Keighley? What he said about the Scorpio? I'm sorry, golly, I picked. Well, I mean, it wasn't negative. He really looks at it from a consumer eye. He said, "Okay, mom and dad walk into ABC store. They can buy an Xbox One S and a PlayStation 4." A PlayStation 4 Slim with probably a couple of games, whether they be digital or physical, for the amount of a Scorpio or Xbox One X. Which one do you think mom and dad are coming home with?
Well, probably the one that's the cheapest, yeah.
Yeah, so most people are going to buy two. Now, from a consumer standpoint, he's correct, but I agree with you. But that's a great question. I just think it really depends on the trade-ins because, Best Buy will give you in-store credit. And you know that if you have their little game card thing, they give you a little bit more. GameStop is going to announce something probably in late August, early September, a trade-in. They got to sit down with Microsoft, though, in July, to get the numbers worked out. So yeah, and that's a great question. Tell him he has too hard of a question for a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, Stick Figures, good dude. He runs the Doug podcast. Guys, check out the Doug podcast when you get a time. And I'm gonna put in Craig's Twitter and his YouTube channel in the description if any of you guys are interested in checking out his content, because you do a podcast called Craig's Corner. I got to get Rand out over on there. I'll be on there. We'll do that. Yeah. We'll have that show.
Yeah.
So final thoughts on Ubisoft and Bethesda. What do you think? What are your final thoughts on this stuff?
As a gamer, and with EA, as a gamer, I was just excited to see the games. Bethesda, one of the things, and I think you said this earlier, so I apologize if you did, if I'm repeating. A lot of the things I like is the stuff they show, it comes out like within 4 to 5 months. So we don't have to have that long wait on the runway. But again, I'm excited for Evil Within, Dishonored, the mods still being able to be done. If you have a Switch, I don't know what people do, link on there. EA, I agree. EA was kind of, but that hot girl at least did it for me. So I was able to give them at least a C minus. And but Ubi, I agree. When I finally was able to watch the whole thing, very impressive. Hopefully it was run. They did clearly say they went out of their way to show you that the Assassin's Creed anyway was running on the Xbox. They showed the joystick. They zoomed in for like 8 seconds so that they got to shake the whole PC thing of running shit on PC then downgrading it on console. So I'm excited. Microsoft, I felt for me was underwhelming for $4.99. So for me, but I'm not dissing it. I think it's quite a nice piece of tech. It's a marvelous piece of tech considering all the stuff that's in it. That it's so small.
Yeah, dude, it's small. It's their smallest one ever. It's smaller than the Xbox One S, but it's like way more powerful. Like that's really cool.
Yeah,
I thought for sure it would be bigger.
Like that's amazing. So.
Yeah. So yeah, my final thoughts. I thought Bethesda's conference was a boring pile, only saved at the end by Wolfenstein, which is going to be a great game at the end of the
Yeah,
year. Ubisoft's had a great conference, except for the beginning. They showed off a lot of commitment to new IP, and then they
yeah.
brought back a fan favorite, Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's a great time to be a gamer. I'll be doing a live reaction to Sony stuff. Can't wait to see what they show. Follow Craig on Twitter. Check out his YouTube channel. Links will be in the description. And thanks for coming out, watching the Hangout. And hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't done so. And I'll see everybody later tonight.
All right.
Later.